Hislop and Stewart Robson with us as well. Robbo, I suggested you looked a bit like a referee today.
Yeah, I borrowed it off Peter Walton. He's actually signed it for me as well. Yeah. It's not the top that I was hoping to wear, but Peter lent it to me, so it's all right.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it? Good old Peter.
A dart player.
You think so? Oh, Robbie's a bit trimmed to be a dart player. I heard Erik Ten Hag ran the 8.6 miles with the team after the Brentford fiasco.
Yep.
Have you ever had a manager dish out the punishment but also take it with the roster as well? How does this reflect in the mindset change within the locker room? Clearly it must have worked.
No idea. He looks a fit chap, doesn't he?
He does.
He does.
Yeah, most definitely.
Obviously he's got no calf problems. That would be rule me out.
Yes.
I'd last about 300 metres.
Right.
Calves we've got. Fit guy.
Yeah.
Looks after himself.
Jim Smith wouldn't have done that back in the day, run 13 kilometres with you.
Jim couldn't have made it 13 yards. Then he would have lit one of his cigars, come out with some expletive, and then went back in his room and gambled on the horses again until we come back. Look, fair play to him. I don't know if that was the difference from what made a difference in Monday.
Yes, Monday.
Monday's excellent performance, but yeah, fair play. You know, you were hopeless at Brentford. Here's one of the things. One of the things I took away from it was the work rate, was the fitness, was the ground covered. So we're going to go for a trot.
Right.
And if you don't like it, sod off. But I'm going to do it as well.
Right.
I mean, I don't suppose it would have made the players that much happier because he was doing it, but yeah, it's one of those things.
Robbo, would you have dealt out similar punishment?
I never. It obviously worked for him. I've never seen it work before. I used to get very angry with the youth team coach at Arsenal, Pat Rice, because when the team lost, he used to run them after the game in front of all the parents just as a punishment. If you're doing it for a certain exercise to get them fitter, I can understand it, but I'm not sure you want to be doing it after a game. But as Craig said, if you do it yourself as the coach, it just does help the situation slightly, make the situation slightly easier, I would say.
Shaka, were you ever punished after a terrible performance?
Yeah, not running though. I can't think of any managers dishing out running that way as punishment. We used to do it at times right after the game if you didn't play. Sometimes the coach or assistant coaches would join in. But I don't recall ever, having to go for these long runs as some sort of a punishment.
Well, actually, it was coming back from injury one time, along with a couple of other players, one of them being the current Scotland manager, Steve Clarke. At Chelsea, we played in the reserves one night down at Kingstonian, and with crystal clear, the attitude wasn't spot on.
Okay. All
round. And Eddie Niedzwiecki, the goalkeeping, former Welsh goalkeeper and Chelsea goalkeeper who's been coaching for years, he was reserve manager at the time, and he told us after the game, everybody's running tomorrow. So he got us all in, and a lot of us were first team players at the time, and he started to run us around the training ground. And Eddie, being Eddie, with the bad knees and all the sorts, couldn't really. So he was screaming across the training ground at us, but we weren't running fast enough, right? The boys were taking. Anyway, Steve Clarke, who is a model professional, obviously these days, the Scotland manager, was shouting at the rest of the players out of earshot of Eddie, pump your knees higher and puff your cheeks out. That'll make him think. So Eddie's shouting, "You're not running fast enough, you!" And Clarke is going, "Pump the knees a bit higher, lads. Blow the cheeks." And we were like, honestly, I just don't think it.
No.
This is for kids.
This is for you, Craig. Why don't Liverpool use Trent in a midfield just like Kimmich at Bayern?
Sorry, what?
Why don't they use Trent Alexander in midfield?
Well, one, they haven't got another natural right back.
Right.
That I know of. They've got a couple of young players. They signed a young boy from Scotland, but I think he's a left back. I might be wrong. He's a full back. Joe Gomez can play there, but he's a natural full back who just doesn't defend very well. I'm sure he could go in the middle of the park and play, but it's a little different. In fact, it's a lot different. Robbo will tell you. Body position, how you take the ball in, and at full back, you're generally either the goalie's throwing it to you or somebody's playing it to you. You can see the whole picture. Get it out your feet, up the line, whatever. Midfield's different, back to play, so it's not that easy. Kimmich has done a great job in there.
Right.
So it's not as easy as people think to go in there and just take up because you're good on the ball doesn't mean you can just go in and pick it up straight away.
But it has worked in the past. You think someone like Gareth Bale, Robbo?
Bale?
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah,
Gareth
Bale
Bale
started as a defender, didn't he? And he worked his way up into
He
attack.
was a left back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but never became a central midfielder.
No, but he could go as an attacker.
Robbo.
So yeah, Dan's lost you there now, hasn't he? I mean, are you talking about him being a right winger or a central midfield player? If you're talking about him being a right winger, that's probably his natural position because his defensive understanding and actually the desire to defend isn't there. Could he play central midfield? I still think a central midfield player needs to be able to get up and down the pitch and defend well, as well as being good on the ball. So I don't think he could play centrally. He can play as a right wing back who doesn't really want to defend, or he can play as a right winger. That would be the ideal positions for Trent Alexander-Arnold, I would say.
And guess what?
What?
Guess what? When you play in central midfield, I don't care if it's in a 2 or a 3, you've still got to do this certain thing. It's called track runners. You've got to track runners. It's a part of the game that people don't really talk a lot about. But one of the skill sets is tracking runners and passing people on and understanding when to do that and when not to do it. That's a flaw in his game.
Right.
Is just letting people go. But he's a great footballer. And Stevie touched on it the other day. It's something that Klopp puts up with for the time being.
Yeah.
But it's something Gareth Southgate, if we're taking it to the other side of the coin, isn't, I think, on the face of it, so enamoured with. And that's why he uses other people.
Shaka, when a goalkeeper makes an error like Mendy did, how does he respond to a similar situation next time? Would they try to avoid it completely, and would that have impact on their game overall?
Just whenever you make a mistake, whenever you find yourself in bad form, just go back to the very basics and do those simply, do those well, and build your confidence back into the game. Next time a ball gets rolled back to Mendy, if he's under pressure, just launch it in the stand. Start shouting at defenders. You know, that's goalkeepers get out of jail free card. Just start shouting at defenders and carry on. And slowly but surely, confidence comes back, and you can start passing the ball back out to defence again.
For Robbo, I rate Pedro Neto very highly. I think Arsenal are title contenders if we sign him and Tielemans. What a front four we would have, young and hungry. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a very good player. I'm not sure you'd get Shaka out the side to put Neto in at the moment. I'm not sure you'd get Martinelli out the side or Odegaard out the side. And Jesus is playing brilliantly, so he might have to fight for his place if he does come to Arsenal. Tielemans, I think, would be an excellent signing for Arsenal. The one area, yes, Shaka's done okay, and he seems to be a much reformed character at the moment, and Partey is doing well. But I think Tielemans would be an excellent signing. And are they title contenders? Well, they've certainly been the best side in the first 3 games, even better than Man City, who didn't play, who allowed Newcastle to score 3 goals against them at the weekend. So Arsenal have been excellent so far.
Wow, Robbo.
Oh, don't tell Stevie.
Hey, Robbo might be allowed back at the Emirates for this sort of attitude.
No.
Only speaking the truth, Dan. Only speaking the truth.
No, it's nice.
It's a big ocean.
For all, how does the dynamic of the dressing room change when you have a star player making it clear they want to transfer out? At the moment, obviously, Fofana and Ronaldo are examples of that. Shaka, have you experienced that?
At times, yeah. I remember at Newcastle after Keegan signed Shearer and gave him the number 9. Les Ferdinand wanted to move on, understandably. It makes it awkward. It does make it awkward, but it also kind of becomes part of the territory after a while. Wherever you go, somebody's always moving out. You're always linked with somebody else, and you just learn to accept it. But when it's a player with that kind of dominance in the dressing room, it can make things a little bit difficult.
You experienced that?
Well, not really.
No?
I don't really have an issue with any of it because it's part of the business.
Right.
And you can't start falling out with somebody if they want to better themselves and go to a different club. So if you've got a good thing going, it's not ideal. Well, I'm just thinking back of somebody that wanted to leave Chelsea, or Larsson had wanted to leave Celtic, which didn't happen, but can you blame them? You know,
Right.
like if Barcelona had come in for Larsson before he went there, and many years later, what do you get upset with him for saying he wants to go to Barcelona? No, it doesn't really work like that.
I'm thinking of putting a bet on the points difference between Manchester City and Liverpool being more than 20 by the end of the season. Am I crazy, Robbo?
Not crazy, but I think that Liverpool will get better. Obviously, they're going to get better over the course of the season. Manchester City aren't going to win all their games. I think probably it's going to be much closer than certainly 20 points. I think it'll be closer than 10 points. Liverpool are still going to be a good side over the course of the season. So I think it'd be mad to put that bet on.
So what's your points then, Robbo?
What's my points? I'm going to say that it's going to be. I still think Man City are going to win the title, and I think they're going to beat Liverpool. And the way Chelsea might be buying all these players, they'll be the next ones in.
No,
I would
what's
say
the
7
points
points.
difference going to be?
7
11
points.
Oh, seven.
Seven.
Shaka?
Yeah.
I'm with Robbo. I don't see the points difference as being more than 10. To suggest a 20-point difference between City and Liverpool, I do not see that happening at all. You're asking Liverpool. You're thinking Liverpool are going to barely get to 70 points. Despite the slow start, they're going to surpass that surely.
Well, somebody needs to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be a boring season.
Yes. Yeah. What's Bayern going to win it by? 100?
No, that's all to play for.
I got a question for all three. When you were playing, how much did you pay attention to pundits or reporters? Were there any pundits who often got things right? Robbo, you don't take criticism very well. How did you react when...
Oh, Dan, you do love to put words in my mouth, don't you?
well, we know, Robbo. We know what you're like.
Listen, when I played in the 80s, there weren't that many pundits around. There weren't any live games. So the only time you got criticised or praised was usually in the papers or on Match of the Day on a Saturday night. So there wasn't too much criticism. And I was very fortunate. I was lucky with the press. The press seemed to like me. The fans seemed to like me. So I didn't get a lot of criticism, which would, as you said, I wouldn't have taken very well, Dan.
No. How did you take criticism?
On the chin, son.
Oh, yeah. Not a glass chin. Which chin?
I was going to do that. On the chins. Chin at a time. Tell you what, see by the time we get to next year, early 2023.
Right. You're going to be ripped.
It's going to be like Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
Chasing chickens around with freaking fit.
Right.
Fit as hell.
Why is he chasing chickens?
Did you not see that film?
Yeah, but why would you be chasing chickens?
Well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me.
You're going to run up the steps in Philadelphia as well, Rocky-esque.
I'm not going to run to Philadelphia.
You've got to remember that was about 35 years ago, 40 years ago. I think Sylvester Stallone won't be looking quite so good now.
The basics. Yeah, I mean, it was part of it. We all had it, particularly playing for the national team. I had a run-in with a few journalists more than anything else.
Yeah. What about?
A couple. A couple were personal, and then other ones were headlines from editors.
Okay. What sort of headlines?
The wrong headlines. I mean, like, twisting words headline from interviews,
right.
or press conferences.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they blame editors and sub-editors and blah, blah, blah. So,
right.
But yeah, I had a couple, but a lot of those guys I'm actually still friendly with.
Would you look in the papers at the mark that you'd get out of 10?
I think the odd time.
Of course he did.
Sometimes you would come in the dressing room on a Monday and the boys would be talking about it.
Right.
The national team always, yeah.
Okay.
Because the boys playing, and Stevie's talked about this, the guys playing in England always got marked a little bit less
Than the Scottish ones.
So when I played for Celtic, I was all right.
Yes.
When I was at Chelsea, Celtic, not too bad.
Yes.
Talking to the boys every week.
Yeah.
Back to England, back on the fence.
Right.
But I, as I said, a lot of people think I talk to a lot of these guys now.
Well, did you suck up to the writers because you won the Football Writers Award, didn't you?
No,
so were you extra nice to the
I won the
journalists?
Football Writers Award because I scored 15 goals. That's why I won the Football Writers Award.
15 isn't that much, is it?
From Middle of Park.
Was it a slow season?
No, it was. Well, it was only the biggest season.
It
It was only the biggest season for 40 years for Celtic. No, it's a big season. So yeah, no, I didn't suck up to them. But
15 goals in the Premiership.
it was more than. It's almost the same as Larson from he was up front.
Right, okay.
So there you go.
There you go, good.
Middle of the park. Nobody else did it.
No. Well deserved. Isn't it a team?
You go back and see how many people got 15.
I thought it was a team game. I don't think these individual awards mattered. Well, the Ballon d'Or.
They didn't matter. I can't help that I won it.
It's not my fault.
My fault.
Final question. Can Robbo go a whole extra time without mentioning Shaka's Maserati? Hey, you did it, Robbo.
Nearly.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a poser when he was younger. He's a poser still, but no mention of the car.
No.
To be fair though, you're dressed like a man that could come out of Maserati.
Is that a compliment? I'm sure that's
No.
Is that meant to be a compliment or not?
I mean, I reckon the medallion would go nicely.
Yes,
there.
a medallion. Yeah, medallion
Oh,
would definitely go nicely.
The 80s medallion. Yeah. I think Shaka
How
had one
low
of
does
those.
it go,
Definitely had one of
Robbo?
those.
No, don't
It
put
goes
the
right down
medallion
to the
on me.
waist.
It goes right down to the waist.
To the waist. Yeah.
No, what does?
The
What
zip.
is
That's
it?
what he's
Is
talking
it like-
about.
Medallion?
Is it a shirt underneath or is it a one piece?
Oh, it goes into the trousers as well. It's like a jumpsuit. Yeah.
No, hold on,
it's just
Robo, dispel the myth that you're doing this show in your pyjama top.
I've got to say, I'm doing it in my pyjama bottoms. Yeah, I'm doing it in my pyjama bottoms, not pyjama
By the way-
top.
Oh, no.
To be fair, that's up there for thinking, down there for dancing.
There you
He's
go.
going straight to his bed.
Right, Robbo.
So as soon
What
as we
time?
finish this, it's
11 o'clock.
11 past his bedtime.
Yeah.
I've got to be
Straight
up
off
early
with
for
the gear.
Gavin Jules tomorrow. Got to be
Are
up
you doing
very
Gavin
early for
Jules
Gavin
tomorrow,
Jules.
Robbo?
Yes,
oh,
I am.
my goodness.
Does any of those two ever do that show anymore?
I don't know, they're on, they have a lot of holidays, haven't they?
Oh, Gab's gone somewhere on holiday or something or other.
He's just back.
Gab's got more holidays than Craig.
Wow, Craig had that 3.5 weeks off, didn't he?
Sure.
Long time.
Yeah, remember.
Long
By the
time.
way, I've got another one in the pipeline.
Oh, good. Wow.
Awesome.
Okay, boys, thank you very much. Just a reminder, extra time.
15 goals, you said? You're making a...
15 goals doesn't seem that much for someone who won Player of the Year. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.